Good day. My name is Michael Mattmiller, and I'm a Senior Director on the State Government Affairs team at Microsoft. And I'm pleased that you've joined us today for a conversation on enhancing critical infrastructure. And we'll be talking about strategies specific for state and local governments. So what we'll cover today is a little bit about how Microsoft and Accela work together to enhance services for citizens across the country. And then we'll talk about enterprise approaches to how we deliver services. Part of that we'll talk of a platform-based approach, a little bit about the trends we're seeing between IT consolidation and the rationalization of services that get provided, as well as how technology innovations are enabling process integration, not to mention changes in how we use data and the customer experience. With you today will be myself. Prior to joining Microsoft, I had the pleasure of serving as the Chief Technology Officer for the City of Seattle, where I had the ability to see firsthand the power that Accela had to help us become more efficient in the city and better serve our constituents. And I'm joined by Brian Wick. Brian is the Vice President of Product Marketing for Accela. He has more than 20 years experience in the marketing of process automation and content management solutions, starting with companies like Adobe, Oracle, EMC, HP, as well as several privately held companies. And Brian has a master's degree in business marketing from Pepperdine University. Now, before I hand it over to Brian, would just like to take a moment to talk about Microsoft and Accela. Microsoft and Accela have worked together for some time to ensure that Accela's tools are running on the right software technology that enables their innovation and integrates with the Microsoft tools governments rely on every day. Tools like Microsoft 365 and Teams, where we see the importance of collaboration and information coming from Accela being communicated to the stakeholders across our communities, where tools like Microsoft Fabric and Power BI are enabling the data and analytic insights that help Accela cities and local governments understand the permitting and inspection processes flowing through their platform. And of course, today, all of the Accela product suite with Microsoft is running in Microsoft Azure. It's so critical that our state and local governments accelerate their cloud migration journey so that they can benefit from the latest advances of technology, not the least of which is artificial intelligence. I'm really excited about the potential for AI to improve citizen services, to help all of our amazing government employees do more with the resources at their disposal by becoming more efficient. At Microsoft, you hear us talking about co-pilots as a way that workers in our government are finding more time in the day and able to do more with technology. I was also really inspired this year at Accela's annual conference, when they began demoing some of the new innovations using generative AI that we expect to see at some point in the near future in the Accela product set. Innovations like how inspections can be performed more efficiently when an inspector is able to talk out loud of what they're seeing and having generative AI automatically complete inspection forms, just as one starting tool that I know the Accela team is working on. But with that, I'd like to turn it over to Brian to start talking about what he has seen in the landscape, really important trends and how IT is being managed, and the way that platforms powered by cloud computing are increasingly changing the way services are delivered. So Brian, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And I do want to add that our customers receive significant value in the partnership and the relationship that Microsoft and Accela have. And as you say, going forward, it's just going to be even that much more exciting with the potential around AI and so forth. But what I'm going to spend a little time on is what we're seeing when it comes to the acquisition of automation and technology for service delivery. And when I mention service delivery, I'm really referring to the variety of permits, licenses, and code enforcement functions that we provide to our customers. And the thing about this resident service delivery is that it does require a significant amount of automation, and that automation is driven by technology. So something that we're finding quite interesting is how are agencies acquiring that technology? How are they deciding on which solutions to implement, and who's deciding on what to do and why? And so, but to kick that off, I'd like to say that, agencies, make IT decisions across multiple departments. So if you're talking about a city, a county, a state, they are driving technology decisions across community development, or what we call kind of the building permitting and planning function, fire prevention, business licensing, cannabis regulation, service requests, et cetera. In the counties, we see a lot of county organizations acquiring technology for environmental health, fire, building and planning. States, it's a little different set with more occupational licensing, ABC, DOT solutions, and so forth. And Accela has been engaging with these agencies around these technologies for many years, many decades, as a matter of fact. But when we engage, it's interesting. I'm very curious as to who is making the decisions, and it's quite different across the agencies we serve. In some cases, you have a very strong central IT organization that evaluates, funds perhaps, and decides on the technologies across various departments. In some cases, it's a distributed IT function with IT resources within lines of business or departments. And in other cases, the departments drive the IT decisions, with IT being really kind of a service arm just to do what the departments want. And so it's quite different. And what we also see are there are two primary approaches. So some will acquire point solutions, sometimes called best of breed, but individual software packages across individual departments. The perception there is that each department has, specific requirements that are best met with purpose-built solutions. The second approach is the platform approach, sometimes called enterprise, where an organization, and it could be a line of business or IT, has found a consistent technology or platform that they feel rolled out across departments would add value. And that's the approach that we're seeing far more interest in and a lot of momentum going towards platform deployments. And it's really these four elements that you touched on originally, which IT consolidation, cross-department process integration, data integration, and enhanced customer experience, all of which can benefit from the platform approach. So the rest of my slides are gonna really touch on those four aspects, and we're gonna kind of double click a little bit into those and break them down. The first one, which is far most common as to the reason to go with a platform, IT consolidation and rationalization. And Michael, we deal with a lot of CIOs, and many of them come to us and say, Accela, I have hundreds of applications across the departments and so forth that I have to maintain, and I need to rationalize that down to a core set of platforms that can provide the same functionality, but with far less infrastructure, overhead, maintenance, and so forth. And so they ask us, what can Accela do for us? And the pros or the positives around that really are vendor and technology familiarity as opposed to point solutions throughout the organization. There's a huge amount of risk reduction because a platform is a known technology and they can ensure that it's going to do what they need it to do in the way they need it to do it. Known software capability. So if they're rolling out solutions into various departments, they already know what that platform can do for them, where they may have to augment it with services and where they may have to adjust, potentially business processes. But the benefit is there. It's a known capability, again, as opposed to point solutions that they're rolling out with disparate software packages. The supportability is enhanced. Data security, we hear them say, security is such an issue and a priority for CIOs. If I understand the security capabilities of a platform, I can roll that out across my departments and know exactly the position I'm in. Ease of contracting and overall vendor management. Instead of having to come up with review contracting and legal terms across multiple vendors, a platform removes a lot of that overhead and burden. And then potentially better commercial terms, because many software companies, including Accela, provide with volume-based brackets. So broader deployment can often mean lower seat prices as opposed to, again, different solutions going into different departments. And so a lot of pros here, and we see this far and away as the primary reason why people deploy us out through their organizations as a platform. On the con side, sometimes there is a perception, especially within the lines of business, that a platform will not meet their specific needs. They feel that they're very unique, and so a platform is not what they think is going to work. And some departments just don't want to be included in a centralized approach. They're not seeing the benefits. They don't want to follow along what another organization is doing. But these are things that we're going to talk more about, because there's some misperceptions when it comes to these cons. And again, I'm going to do a deeper dive.
Yeah, Brian, I think it's really interesting and important, the con you touched on, that there is sometimes a perception that a platform won't meet specific department needs. And I heard that from time to time in the city. How do you have a conversation with customers about the reasons for a platform?
Yeah, it really comes down to the flexibility of what the platform can do and configurability without getting into high degrees of customizations that are difficult to support. And so that's something that we focused on. I'm going to touch on it a little bit on our closing slide, but we have two capabilities that work hand in hand. We have civic applications, which are pre-built solutions. They're essentially best of breed solutions across these departments, whether it's building permitting or fire prevention, but they sit on a consistent platform. And so the perception isn't real when it comes to capabilities like what we've worked on for many, many years. The other aspect is that the lines of business often don't understand the benefit of the platform, which I'm going to touch on more, to their line of business. They just don't understand that aspect. And so we have a lot of conversations around, you're going to get benefit from this platform approach. You just may not know what those are, but they're there, and we can help them with that.
That's great. One of the interesting things I remember from when Accela came into the city of Seattle is that it was our elected officials who really pushed towards a platform approach, that they were asking the questions, why should we have different tools that are essentially part of one workflow across departments? And they led that charge that it would be better for the citizen experience if we could move towards a platform. So definitely different drivers, but great to hear Accela can support different methods.
Yeah, and there are certain levels within jurisdictions and agencies that see the integration and the interwoven nature of their departments and realize to treat them all as specific individual departments with needs and not have that integration is a real mistake. And so, yeah, again, my next slide, we're going to touch on that across a couple aspects. The first one is process integration. And this is one where, imagine a restaurateur that bought a piece of property and they're going to renovate it, maybe even rezone it, and then they're going to build a restaurant. That the integration of the permitting function across the building department, the planning department, the health department for the kitchen, you have the fire department, fire prevention aspect. Many of these workflows that we're talking about are intertwined, and they depend on each other. Inspection, scheduling, plan reviews, all of those things can hop from one department to the next, even within the same project, the same initiative, the same application or request. And the problem that currently exists is without a platform, these point solutions, the integration of them are often not done. And we see this all the time. It's too expensive. It's too hard to support. So what is the result? These cross-department workflows are often manual and paper-based, which means they're slow, error-prone, and costly. And so a cross-department platform for process integration, and again, my focus here is on the lines of business need to really see this aspect. They need to change their philosophy, their mentality, and realize they could have standardized IT governance, which is, the terminology and the functions. What is the status of an application from one department to the next if they're on very discrete or different solutions? It's different terminology. We even have customers that share their configurations in scripting because of the processes are standardized, and they can do that on a platform, and there's nothing but value there. So it more easily automate the review and approval workflows, digital sharing, and the data sharing that occurs in the process integration side. We're going to get to reporting and data visualization, but this is applicant histories, violations, payment histories, and other important data in an application review that all of these agencies would be interested in. And so a platform with standard data structures allows this in a far more easy way on the process side, again, benefiting the line of business. I've got an example here, Charlotte County. They implemented Accela some time ago, but the nature of their workflows, the process integration, you can see the permit function was farmed out to utilities, public safety, fire, all the way up to the state health department. They used to have to ask for 12 copies of documents just so that they could integrate the workflows on the review and approval of those plans and other documents. And so now all the departments use electronic document review and plan reviews. It can all go concurrent. They can collaborate on the permit function, and the customer never has to come into the office, and much less have to print out thousands of pages of documentation. And so this is just a great example of where Accela in the permitting function, as well as other departments in Charlotte County, removes a huge burden on that function. So the next one I wanted to talk about is really the data across departments, and this is a little different than the data I just mentioned, because this is data reporting and visualization. And Michael, I know you see this as well. Agencies want to maximize the value of their data, right? They want dashboards, they want real-time reporting. That's a trend that we've seen for a number of years. And the problem, again, with point solutions is you have different data structures and a struggle and a challenge in trying to aggregate data from various systems to do this cross-department reporting. Yeah. And the challenges with that means it's not often done, which means especially management and senior city and county officials and management, they're only seeing the one piece of the puzzle. They get fragments of the full picture, and we just see that all the time. And so a common platform eases this, including the modeling, the report generation, the dashboarding, and they get the clear view, the broader agency views across multiple departments, which is exactly what they're looking for. And I've got an example of something that we show customers and customers are implementing. This is our Accela Insights product, and it's built on Power BI, and it's fully integrated with Accela. And what this allows agencies to do, as you can see, and I know the font's a little small, but it does show how city management can get the views of active tasks by module, the most active departments, pending records by address. You can see that using GIS data in the lower right. And this is an example of multiple departments having consistent data models, and then city leadership being able to aggregate it all into integrated dashboards. And every time we show these or we talk about the customers that have done this, everybody can't believe the fact that they could get this kind of breadth in their reporting and dashboarding.
And Brian, this is such a great point you made on the slide prior, and then to actually see it here. The ability to bring data together and actually help our appointed and elected officials build trust with the constituents because they can give transparency into operations and find opportunities for improvement. It, it was probably about 10 years ago now when we started having conversations about data-driven government and movements like What Works Cities to help our good government leaders understand the way to use data as they manage their operations. And what a great way to actually accelerate that effort to have platform-based approaches with the cleanliness, with the standards already in place for cross-city reporting.
Yeah, it's just a whole new way of looking at it. And of course, data provides clues into backlogs and bottlenecks and integrations across departments where the processes may be falling down. And again, having this clear picture gives them so much more capability to solve those problems operationally than they ever would just getting, bits and pieces. So yeah, this is a big deal for many agencies. Yeah. The final benefit, again, oriented towards the lines of business, is really around the customer experience. And so there's no confusion that residents and businesses are looking for a consumer-like website experience when they engage with their agencies for service delivery, right? They want the Amazon environment. They want first-class website experiences because they're looking for things, they're purchasing things, they're applying for things. And so many of the agencies we work with are looking for that digital front door. So again, using that restaurant example, having a business person come into a website and needing 5 permits to get their project off the ground. And each of those experiences may be different on a different website, different look and feel, different flow, can't get the status from one, but they can from the other. Again, this is through point solutions. What we're striving for and where the platform approach comes in and helps lines of business is that all the data and all of the integration of the departmental services are in a consistent environment. It's a consistent look and feel. The questions are the same. In fact, a lot of the data can be reused across the departments, which is huge. There's nothing more frustrating than needing several permits and having to put the same data in multiple times. I think we all know what that's like. But the point is a platform can ease creating that one-stop shop for residents across services. We're providing the capability for guided interactions and wizards, pre-qualification. So questions that ask the applicant, what are you doing? And qualification questions that really set them down the path. Otherwise, what happens is that applicant will pick up the phone and call, a person at the agency office, walk up and stand at the counter to ask those questions. And of course, that's a far more inconvenient, but also expensive proposition for the agency themselves. So having this digitally, taking that consumer by the hand and guiding them into the permit, license, whatever it is that they need is huge. And so again, this is where lines of business need to realize, if I can work with my IT organization's resources wherever they are, and as well as other departments, this can be the vision that they can actually execute on. And so it's critical. This, by the way, is a screenshot. This is our premium citizen experience where somebody could come in and, again, go into a very attractive UI and go ahead and go, if you see on the lower left, digital permitting and licensing, what permits are needed, there's those questions and so forth. So this is how we're providing that functionality for our citizens now, or I'm sorry, our agencies now. So again, value of the platform, the momentum is there. Some of the value is for IT, some is for the line of business. And Accela, as I mentioned earlier, we do provide those civic applications. And so we really start there. And if we're dealing with a line of business, building permitting or fire prevention, whatever it might, business licensing, whatever it is, we can talk about how we've incorporated decades of our domain experience into these pre-configured solutions, which shorten the implementation time and cost. But really, the lines of business get to see in the demo and get to see with other customers exactly what they're looking for. It is that best of breed, or it is that point solution that they want. But as you can see on the right, they all sit on the Civic platform. So it's the same foundational technology. Process integration is easier across department, data integration, customer experience, all of that we've talked about. Plus, IT has fewer vendors and technologies to support. So we think we're unique in the market, and of course, the partnership that we have with you on Azure with SaaS means that we can roll out department solutions extremely quickly. All the infrastructure is the combination of Microsoft and Accela, and then we have the solutions that sit on the platform. We really think it's the best of all worlds for this trend that we're seeing. So that's the nature. That's my commentary, and so back to you, Michael.
Well, thanks so much, Brian. Really insightful, and appreciate the Accela perspective, as well as just that reminder of the way that we see IT within our state and local governments moving. It's interesting. IT has been through a number of different iterations from the mainframe to client server, and now as we move towards this cloud journey, it makes a lot of sense that we would be moving towards a platform-based approach based on the consistency and scale we can now get through SaaS solutions, through many of the products that Accela can bring. So really thankful to everyone who watched today to hear about Brian's presentation and about the way that Accela tools are helping governments become more efficient. And of course, at Microsoft, we're pleased to be enabling Accela's innovation. So you can learn more about Accela at accela.com. And of course, come visit us at microsoft.com to learn what we can do for your government. Thanks for your time today, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yep, thank you.